As you guys know, there's a ton of noise out there in regards to what it takes to become successful in building your business. Now, I think that there are a variety of factors that go into this, but I think that many times people take this mass amount of information and it overcomplicates the entire process for you. Now, I'm speaking from experience when I say this. Growing up and building my first few companies, I quickly learned that what I was doing did not directly correlate with the results or what was required of me to really win. The guidance that I was receiving was predominantly from people that were on the internet, on YouTube, on Facebook, teaching me about these strategies. But there is a couple things that no one talks about, or a very small amount of people talk about, and these are also the things that I have found to be consistent in nearly every successful person I have ever met in my life. So in this video, I want to share with you guys the biggest lesson I have learned in my entrepreneurial journey so far. I think that these lessons have been learned only through my personal failures and successes, mainly from the failures. I found that the more things that you take on in your life, the more you try to push yourself, the faster you will fail and the more you will learn. And that's part of the reason why you guys haven't seen me posting that much on YouTube, because I've really been in the trenches, putting the work in on my companies, and as a result of that, I've really been moving forward. And that's why I wanted to make this video for you guys today, as I've come to some pretty big realizations recently, and I want to share them with you guys, because I feel that it may help one of you move forward from wherever you're at right now. So the lesson that I wanted to share with you guys today is precisely what I mentioned at the start of this video. I think that there is a ton of info and knowledge and strategies and tips, whatever word that you want to use, out there on how to become successful in building a business. There's so much info out there, and I think that this is an amazing thing, but I think that if you're not careful, it can be the downfall of you before you even begin to rise. So let me explain why. I think that it can potentially be dangerous for two reasons. I would say that the first reason it can be dangerous is if you are similar to me and you lacked a sort of figure, mentor, or role model to follow when you're first getting started with your business, it can be very easily to blindly follow somebody without even doing any research, any diligence, or having an understanding of if what they're saying makes sense. Now, you're only going to be able to develop this sense of understanding after you go through some experiences yourself. But I'm just saying, when you're first starting out, this is something that definitely traps new people. The second reason, and the main focus of this video, is that a lot of these videos and strategies out there, especially for people who are just getting started out, the main thing that they focus on is the step-by-step and the day-to-day tasks that need to get done to go out there and create something great. The second reason, and the primary focus of this video, is that most of the content out there is predominantly focused on business and not on self. When in reality, we really need to focus on building up ourselves and our own personal habits if we want to go out there and build a great business. And you know, you might look at this as motivation or mindset content, but guys, this is the reality of building a successful business. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that I have discovered two traits that every single successful person has, and that is what I wanted to highlight and make this video around. That is the big lesson that I have learned in my entrepreneurial journey. It is that the focus needs to be on building a great business, sure, but you need to devote equal, if not more, amounts of energy to how can you become the best version of yourself. Because it's going to be impossible to create something great without good daily habits and without a healthy, clear state of mind. So I want to talk about the 2 traits in particular. I'm going to break them down on how you guys can improve your abilities in them, and I'll share some personal examples as well. So I recently just finished this book called Bounce, sitting over there on my shelf. One of my students, Neil, sent it to me, and I thought the book was absolutely amazing because it made this point very, very clear. The book follows about 20 to 30 extremely successful people like Mozart, Tiger Woods, Venus and Serena Williams, etc. And the conclusion that the book came to is that becoming massively successful in anything only requires 2 things. You must provide consistent daily focus towards improvement, not just getting on the computer, acting like you're working and then signing off for the day. Really, every single day, trying to improve and understand how you're going to be able to improve. The second thing is by truly having an unwavering belief in your potential and in your capabilities. And it's pretty simple. For you to want to work, for you to want to push yourself super hard, you sort of have to believe that what you're working towards is gonna happen eventually. Even if you're not fully confident in it at the start, you at the least know, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm gonna eventually get a supercar, I'm gonna eventually get my money coming in, I just need to get started. The unwavering belief a lot of times starts like that, and it builds up as you go through more experiences in your life. So with those 2 things, that will get you started, but how do you turn those into a multi-million-dollar company or perhaps something even bigger than that? From my observation, it follows a cycle. As you start to believe in a new idea or a new concept, you begin to work. As you start to work, you start to fail and you start to make progress. And both of these things will teach you very fast what needs to be done. So long as you're continuing to put the work in every single day, you're going to keep climbing, you're going to keep pushing new highs. These new highs are going to present new environments, new challenges, and new problems for you to solve. So as a result, you're going to keep climbing. And this process never ever stops. There is no point where you reach and you're like, okay, I'm done. Unless you choose to be, which is a bad idea. That is really the blueprint to seeing results in anything. And maybe it sounds like I'm oversimplifying it, and you might think that, but let me break down these 2 things specifically, give you a little bit of insight, and then we'll tie it all together. So guys, as you know, I work with a lot of students one-on-one. We do the one-on-one mentorship, and we have the course students. And inside of the course, I talk to every student one-on-one. What I have discovered, the most common reason that people are not seeing results in their business or their new endeavors is a lack of focus.
Lack of focus.
This, to me, hands down is one of the biggest reasons why people are unable to get their first business off the ground. I don't think to become massively successful your first go around, you need to be this Zen master and have mastered your mind completely. As a matter of fact, you can get your first results and make a good amount of money with having a terrible daily routine, with having the most messed up mindset ideology ever, so long as you focus every day and put the hard work in.
Oh, well, if I don't need my mindset to make money, then why would I ever take the time to build that?
Here's the other side of it, guys. Once you get some money coming in, once you start to get a little bit of results and success, that's where the other part comes in. Because guess what? Now you have to keep innovating and you have to keep pushing and moving forward. And this is where the challenge comes. The challenge is not in the initial success. It's not in the initial home run. If you study a bunch of entrepreneurs like I have been doing in the past 5 years, you'll very, almost, I'll say 100% of the time, notice that the first business that they have that took off and skyrocketed, a lot of times that business faced extreme failure and hardship after that initial success. So the second part, and what I would verge to say the more important part, is really working on building up that frame of mind. Another side of it too is that what's the point of building these things? What's the point of getting the money if it's not even going to fulfill you and bring you happiness anyways? So that's the 2 sides of the coin. You can build something big with just focus, without having the mindset. You could X out the mindset, but are you going to enjoy it? Are you going to be happy in the process? Are your team members going to want to learn from you? Are you going to be a role model to them? This is things you got to ask yourself. Or you want to be a business leader that's rich but has hella addictions, is depressed, he be going through relationships left and right. I don't know. You decide which one you want to be. I want to share with you guys my own personal story following this exact cycle. And then I'm going to give you guys some tips on how you can go ahead and improve these things for yourself. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know my story if you're following me on YouTube and on Instagram. And obviously my story is very far from being closed. But the part that we're up to so far, basically I built a successful dropshipping store after failing in business for like 5 years. After that, I went to build another store. It took off. And from this point, I was like, I want to start helping people. I want to start doing YouTube. So started making YouTube videos. We built this massive community in the span of a year. I created this training program and also built a viral vault. Cool. All this stuff is cool. I'm happy that it happened. But that is just the glorified, picture-perfect version of the story. The part that is left out commonly by people, and in my case, by myself, is what happened next. So, after I had achieved those results, especially after I did this stuff with the YouTube channel, and I moved out to LA, and I got all these things that I always wanted, my ego went up. And I'm not saying my ego went up in the sense of, oh, I'm cooler than everybody, I ain't gonna talk to nobody. Like, no, I still acted as the same person on the outside. I would still be super nice and respectful to everybody, but the part that got messed up with my ego is that I stopped pushing myself and I stopped learning. And as a result of that, everything sort of plateaued for a little while. So for the past 6 months, I've been in a period of getting out of this funk. And it's not like 6 months I've been trying to solve it. No, 6 months I've been absolutely fucking destroying it because it was killing me, guys. I was getting depressed. I was starting to stress out. And that's what happened. I pushed myself with strictly focus. I wasn't even trying to care about building my mindset. And once I got to that point that I thought I wanted, able to pay my bills, able to have my own spot, my own whip, get all this furniture and stuff that I wanted, I thought that once I got that, I was gonna be fine. But guess what happened? I wasn't. I felt like I was still empty because I left out the other side of the equation. For you to build something great, you really need to combine these things in unison. And that's where I'm at right now. That's why these last 3 months have been so prosperous for me, because I've really been working on my balance between these two things. And you guys can do the same thing. If you're a beginner, if you're an expert, I really think that all of you can adopt these traits if you haven't already. And if you have, how can you be more conscious of them and work towards improving them? All right, so let's run through some things that I would suggest for you guys to improve these two traits. Let's get started first with focus.
Focus.
So when it comes to focus, you firstly just have to understand that it takes time to build. You're not born with the skill to focus. And it's not something that is ingrained in you naturally, especially if you come from a background where your work ethic was shitty like mine was. I didn't really care about school. I was pretty average in all the sports and everything that I did. The only thing that I really worked hard on was entrepreneurship. And back then, I really didn't have an understanding of what work was or how much work really needed to be done to build something. A lot of times it's just lack of action. A lot of times you guys are not taking the daily action to really go out there and build something. So start with that. If you want to build up your skill of focus, you should firstly determine what minimum viable effort should you put forth today. What needs to get done? Should you launch a product, go to the gym, read a little bit of a book? If that's it, if that's what you just want to focus on for the day, that's perfect. Because what happens is that once you start putting forth that minimum viable effort, for lack of a better term, your body starts getting used to doing stuff every day. It starts getting used to putting hours of work into stuff. It's a skill, it's a muscle. You're not gonna be able to curl 80 pounds if you don't curl the 30s first, and then the 40s, and then the 50s. It's the same thing. You're not gonna be able to sit and work 10 hours Not that I work 10 hours straight, but you're not gonna be able to sit and work 10 hours if you can't sit for 30 minutes and work on something. So that's tip number one. The second tip for focus is don't shoot blind. Have a really solid understanding of what your goal is and where you want to go with everything. Do not say, I want to build a successful online business and leave it at that. Don't even say, I want to build a dropshipping store and leave it at that. Don't even say, I want to build a niche beauty store. Don't even leave it at that. You need to break down the goals and the real things that you want to hit in the company. And if you're starting a brand new dropshipping store, don't start setting like 5-year goals for that store and shit. Start thinking of what needs to get done this week to hit my goal for the month. That's what I would suggest. Set monthly goals and set the weekly actions required to get there. That's what I do. I have a notebook that's sitting right there on my counter where I do this every single morning. So that's my advice for that. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is just tips for boosting your mindset. Now, once again, guys, I'm sharing this knowledge from experience, not from the position of I'm Mr. Expert Man and I know everything, but I have been through a lot and I have, created a decent life for myself. So when it comes to the mindset side of things, this is something that I believe is a lifelong journey, and it's something that I train almost every day, whether I know it or not. With the experiences that I go through and with the books and the people that I'm around, I'm picking up knowledge on this all the time. But for you, for somebody who's just sitting at their house trying to get something off the ground, or for somebody who's built something great but wants to know how to go even further, this is what I would suggest for improving your mindset. It's actually easier than you think. I think the first thing is to really get an understanding of what drives you to start and build a business in the first place. Now, if you asked me this question 2 years ago, I would say to get an apartment and to live on my own. And then if you had asked me last year, I would say, oh, family, oh, family, oh, family, oh, family. But after really building something and really breaking those two values down, I personally have determined that the thing that fuels me the most is the process of building something, of having a team of employees, of seeing a company grow, of going through the failures and the hardships that are required. For me, that is what fuels me. And it took me a while to realize this. But for you, it could be many different things. And family is a big value for me. It's something that I put a lot of my love and time into, but it's not the motivating factor for me to run my business every day. And you shouldn't look for these magical motivating factors. They're really short-lived, to say the least. I love my family. I'm gonna do everything for them. But you can't just always think about that every time you wanna work, or whatever that is for you. So take a little bit of time. And when I say a little bit, I don't mean 5 minutes. I mean, really sit with this and try to understand why you want to start your business in the first place. And if your motivation is just to get an apartment, or just to quit your job, or just to drop out of college, these are perfectly fine motivations. And you should lean into them as much as you can, because they can sometimes be even stronger than anything else that you will feel. And the last thing that I would suggest, and this will kill 2 birds with 1 stone, is read more books. Reading is something that I have become absolutely obsessed with in the past year. I used to always be a little, like, I would say, pretendish when it comes to books. I would always carry books around. I would always have them. I had so many of them before I moved, and I just really didn't read them. I would read like 3 books, or 3 to 5 books a year, maybe maximum. And I would read them slow as shit, like just crawl through the book, and then I would finish it and nothing would sit in my brain. I literally used to look at reading as a waste of time. But as I started to read more books, I found a couple interesting things happened. The first thing is that I really started enjoying reading, like a lot. After forcing myself for just reading for 30 minutes a day, I would say in the span of a month, I became obsessed with reading because I started to see the benefits of it in my day-to-day life. And this is why I said it kills 2 birds with 1 stone, because here are the benefits, and this ties everything together for the video. The first benefit of reading every day is that it's gonna help you build that focus muscle. If you can sit and you can stare at a blank or a book full of pages for 30 minutes to an hour a day, you'll have no issue sitting in front of your computer for 30 minutes plus a day working on your stuff. a lot of people, they say that they're working and they say that they're focusing, but if we had a camera to look at what's going on when they're on the computer, they're just bullshitting. They're just clicking around, opening a bunch of tabs, doing whatever. That's not focus. Focus is having one tab open. Granted, you only need to be using one tab, sitting in that tab and working on your task without taking breaks, without checking your phone, without really getting too distracted, just looking at the screen and working. A lot of people can't do that. And on top of reading, actually working every day builds up the skill set too. And the last thing is that these books help you develop your mindset, guys. Like, this knowledge and this stuff that I'm sharing with you today comes from my personal experience, one, but also from books. I would say a much, much, much heavier portion is from books. And it's sort of like being able to extract years and years and years of knowledge from experts and people that are absolute legends in their field. So if you're not reading, I don't know what to tell you. Make sure to take a little bit of time each day to read a book. Even if it's just 30 minutes a day, I suggest doing it. I'll make a more detailed video about reading and the benefits that it's done for me. Hopefully you guys will enjoy that. But in the meantime, that's everything that I wanted to share for this video. And I feel like this is some important stuff to put out there. So that's why I wanted to create it today. Anyways, guys, that is all I have for this video. It feels so good to be back talking to each and every one of you. I know it's been like 3 months, perhaps even longer, since I put a video out there. And it kind of sucks because videos are one of my passions, guys, and when I initially started the channel, I could have never imagined myself taking a pause like that. But it's okay, because it was much needed for my mental health and determining what the next move for me is. And now I have a very strong understanding of what is to come. And you guys are gonna get to benefit from this as well, because a lot of this stuff is for you guys and for helping you get results. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're not new to the channel, what's up? Good to see you again. Drop in the comments, let me know how you've been, let me know what's going on with you. And yeah, leave a like on this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. So I'll see you when I see you. By the way, my next video is gonna be about ecom. So I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Peace.